Hey everyone, this is Cary Kolat and Matt Dernlan on the podcast The Way with presented by Rudis. And this week, Matt and I are talking about rivalries. How'd your week go, Matt?
Yeah, no, it's good, man. Things are, we're in the same position you guys are at, as you guys are focusing in, on the NCAA tournament and everything. We're locking in the same way. And 2 weeks after that, we've got a bunch of our athletes competing at the Olympic trials. So we're just trying to build up, and ramp up the momentum heading into the NCAA tournament, the Olympic trials, and then into the Olympic year in Tokyo. So we got a ton of fun stuff going on. We're actually just got back from Colorado where we were filming some of our marketing footage for our athletes out there, getting ready to put some cool things together leading up to the Olympic trials. So,
No.
yeah.
Well, the question this week was how do we handle rivalries, and the other part to it was how important are they? Well, first of all, they're really important, right? They're really important to growing a fan base. But I'm not a big football guy. I'm not a big sports guy. I've said this many times. I was a wrestling coach. I'm a wrestler, and that's what I did. I'm not the football guy, and I didn't watch the Super Bowl and stuff. But I respect coaching. I'm always trying to learn from different people. And there was a coach that they were interviewing his football coach, and they talked about rivalries. And, one thing he said, and I was like, wow, that really drives it home. And I use it with my guys now, is that a rivalry is bragging rights for the entire year for your fan base. That's why it's important. And when you think of it like that, and that's really what it is, you can win the conference, you can win the conference tournament at the end of the year. But if you lose that in our sport, you lost that dual meet, right? And you're going to people that your fans get to brag all year in the office. They get to pick on the other people in the office who are rooting for your team, and if you got upset or whatever it may be. And so when you put it in that perspective, well, it's bragging rights all year. For me, the most important thing is that I don't want to wrestle the rivalry match on Monday when we compete on Saturday. And you see it, and that's our big gauge as a coaching staff. That's what we're really trying to back. We approach it the same way we approach any bout. We don't talk about the rivalry until it's the day of. It's time to get going. We don't do any extra effort all of a sudden, because if all of a sudden we did extra effort, that would mean everything else was less important. So for me, the approach is exactly the same as that we've been doing. We're still trying to perfect our craft. We're still trying to become better wrestlers. We're still trying to get more flexible. We're still trying to get more technical. This is another week. And then day of, it's bragging rights for the rest of the year. So, man, make sure if you got an extra scramble on you or an extra 5 seconds to hang on to the leg, this is the dual meet to do it in. And rivals, look, you can have rivals who are down. Maybe on paper you're the better team. But when it comes to a rivalry week, everybody gets up. Everybody finds a little extra power. And you have those setbacks. If you go back and you look at Iowa, Penn State, right? Everybody laid it on paper. Everybody thought Iowa was just going to blow them out of the water. And there was a point in that dual meet where Penn State had control of it, and you thought at 74, nobody expected that to happen, and it did. It's rivalry week. Anything can happen. Guys are going to find something.
Yeah, and to that point, I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, you saw the meaning. Like, the Iowa fan base is always rabid, right? But especially now when it comes to Penn State and what Penn State's done in the last 10 years, and Iowa's kind of been the team behind, a spot or two behind Penn State in the last 8 to 10 years. You can see what that meant to the fan base, that was as an electric environment as you could possibly create. And it was they wanted, they could taste the bragging rights. They saw the bragging rights out there for the taking for the last 3 months, right? And they're like, give this back to me. We want the bragging rights. We'll take it however. But then to your point, how you give it to the guys in the team, I kind of did the same thing as you. If you start, and I've made this mistake in the past where I've talked about it earlier in the week, and I've had matches where I left the match in the room. I left the dual meet in the room somewhere in the week. And because these guys, you don't have to talk about your rivalry because they know it, because they're familiar with it before they even enter the program. They probably know who your rival is, who you're targeting within the program, within the conference in your program, who is that rival, and you create meaning behind it, because it's not just something, it's almost like what it is, a system of beliefs, right? Like the Iowa people, it's not like who's the better wrestler, like whose beliefs are better, the way you run a program, who does it better. And it's, I think that, and for most of these people, it's fun for those 10 guys that get to step out on the mat, but for those fans that pile into the stands, and the people that are following you online, or however they're staying engaged with you, I mean, this is personal for them. This is part of their identity. They went to this institution. This institution has carved out, in a lot of ways, you meet your spouse, you get your professional career, and it's all because of the institution that you chose to go to. So it's a fabric of the fan base. It's a fabric of the lives of the fan base, the people that follow you, but it's also the fabric of the guys in the room. So they already know how important it is when they step out there, but they know how important it is to their teammates that aren't competing, to the coaches on the sidelines, to the fans, to the alumni that have gone before them. So they don't really need you to talk about those things. They're already ramping them. If anything, during rivalry week, it's like, how do I calm these guys down? How do I keep them as normalized as possible until the day before, or in after weigh-ins, or
that's
whenever,
all you can do as
right?
a coach. Keep doing what you're doing, and like you said, don't wrestle the match early. And when we made that mistake this year, we were fired. It wasn't a rival, but it was somebody we were fired up for, and we wrestled the match a few hours earlier, and we talked about that. The other thing I always say about the weeks like this is own the environment. Like everything that you can own the environment, own it. If you walk into the arena and they're booing you, love it. My mindset is fight fire with fire. Some guy standing across and he's staring you down, you stare right back, and you get on the scale, and you got to be ready to go. And you walk into an arena and they're booing you, then throw your arms up and let them boo you even more. And if they love you, then you use that energy. It's really important that you own the environment, that you get in there and you get after it. But you can't go in there like a coward. You have to go in there ready to fight. And you got to like a hostile environment. I always liked hostile environments. I think that's why I did well, and I think that's why the best guys did well. Like whatever the environment was, use the energy you can. If we wrestled the World Cup in the United States and they announced your name and everybody went crazy, get fired up. You're in some other country and they're booing you, get fired up even more. It's us versus the world, or it's us versus this program or these set of fans, and that's what you got to do. You have to own the environment.
And I think with that, with a rivalry, you almost have to dislike your opponent at a certain level. And you don't have to hate them, but you have to dislike them. That's part of that. I mean, that's when you're digging in and you're getting ready for the fight. It's like, you don't like these people, but also deep down,
well,
you do have a level of respect.
You say that.
Right?
I mean, I think I told you the other day. Thomas Gilman stopped in. He spoke to my guys while you're here, and then he came over to my house and we were having dinner, and he was getting ready to go to Colorado Springs. And I think everybody at the top level, they hate the Springs. It's those brown dorms. You're sitting out there. But I said, we were talking. I said, I don't know how it is with this generation, because I do find this generation different. They're all on social media. Somebody will beat somebody and they'll tweet at them, "Hey, good job. You kicked my butt this week." I hated everybody in my weight class. Colorado Springs was very difficult for me because I had to find a table that I could eat at, because somebody in my weight class might be sitting there and I'd be like, well, I can't sit there. I got to go sit somewhere else. It was this, and that's, and that to now, that's my approach now too. Now, these guys I competed against, we talk now, we're friends now, but during the competitive days, I didn't care to be around those guys, and I'm sure they didn't care to be around me. And now coaching and programs, it's the same way as far as I'm concerned.
Same way. And this is what I was going back to. Like, as much as I dislike these people and I wanted to beat them more than anything, I did respect them. And since I respected them, I thought it was my obligation to create the most difficult environment possible for them.
Yeah.
Like if I truly respect you and I really don't like you, I'm going to create an environment that exemplifies that shows it to you, that it's going to put it on full display.
Absolutely.
It's like, I respect you and I dislike you, and I'm going to show you how much by the environment I create in this dual meet. And it's great. Like, I loved, like you were the same way. I loved going into big dual meets away when you're the when you're the
Yeah.
visitor. It just ramps you up. And it's
Yeah.
like I'm sure the guys at Penn State were like, "Thank you, Iowa. Thank you for your hatred. Thank you for this."
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about that is too, like you're gonna have those back and forth. Those guys leaving Iowa, the ones who got their butts kicked, they're gonna make adjustments. And the same on the Iowa side. They're gonna make adjustments. So the rivalries are important because it makes you better. It does make your program better. It makes your coaching staff better. It makes your athletes better. And they're important to the fan base. And like I said, I mean, the biggest thing for me in terms of rivalries is bragging rights all year. It's bragging rights all year, and don't let it happen. You want to be on the winning end, not the losing end of it.
Yeah, and when you're on the winning end of it too, it kind of jumpstarts your process transitioning into the postseason as well, because most rivalries are somewhere near the end of the year. Traditional rivalries, your last duel or one of the last duels of the year. So I think either way, like that's kind of the nervous thing. Sometimes we we overanalyze things as coaches all the time. It's like, okay, if we win this, if we win this rivalry duel, not that it's going to guarantee what the postseason is going to look like, but it definitely helps when you got the momentum. You beat that rival heading into the conference tournament and kind of establishing as you turn the page from the regular season into the postseason. When you win that rivalry duel, I tell you what, the preparation for the postseason becomes a little bit easier, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, all right, Matt. Well, listen, man, let's catch up again next week. And if you're out there watching these and you've got some questions, please, post them at the bottom of the video, and Matt and I will get to them. And again, this week's topic was rivalries and, bragging rights all year. So don't let it happen to you. Be on the winning end of it. Matt, have a good week, man.
All right, brother. We'll see you, Cary.